Today we're speaking about nest boxes, so keep watching. Welcome back to another Holistic Aquafarm video. My name is Anissa and today we are speaking about nest boxes. So for those of you who breed rabbits, you will know that you have to establish a space for the doe to kindle her kits and nurse them. In most cases, you'll be placing a nest box into the cage for her to kindle. Nest boxes can be very cheaply made, they can be bought. They're very simple and it's not something that needs to be over-engineered. You can make it, you can purchase material and use as nest boxes. It doesn't have to be extravagant. The does don't care. But you need to consider the dimensions. If you have large rabbits, you're going to need a nest box that will be able to accommodate her large size as well as space for the kits. If you have smaller breed rabbits, then smaller nest boxes will be fine. So consider the dimensions of the nest box and consider ventilation. We live in the tropics, so it is very essential that nest boxes are well ventilated. The purpose of a nest box is to keep your kits confined to a specific area where the doe can go and nurse them, and she will nurse all of them all at once. Speaking of confined, why don't you hit the like button that is confined below this video and maybe the subscribe button that is also confined there as well. So the nest box allows to keep all the kits in one area so the doe can go in, nurse her kits and come out when she's finished. If a kit strays away from the litter when the doe is going in to nurse, that kit will not be fed, and it is very unlikely that the doe will take that kit and put it with the litter to be nursed, so that kit would eventually die. If during the day you notice that there is a kit out of the nest box, don't be afraid to take that kit and place it with the litter. Does generally don't spend a lot of time in the nest box nursing. They will nurse once or twice for the day, usually very early in the morning or late at night. So there are many times, being new to the experience, you as a breeder, as a rabbit owner, would not see a doe nursing her kits, but you will wonder if the kits are being fed. Generally speaking, if your kits are nice and plump, they have been fed and you don't need to worry. A nest box can be made of various types of material. They can be made of metal, pictured here. Because we live in the tropics, it's a type of sheet metal that is used. I personally don't recommend it because it lacks ventilation and metal tends to conduct heat. Having the kits in a metal tin, it's not something I advise. You can use wood. If you have access to wood material, you can make a nest box out of wood. That will also be suitable. However, rabbits will eat the wood eventually. Over time, they'll scratch it up, they will gnaw at it. Wood is another material that I am not particularly fond of because it is a porous material. It allows the absorption of urine and feces and the bacteria that is within there. It makes it difficult to sanitize. But many people use wood and they're comfortable with that. It's just my personal preference. If you have access to cardboard, you can use cardboard. You can place a cardboard box in the cage for the rabbits to kindle. However, cardboard will basically be for a single-use purpose because once the rabbit urinates on it, it's going to lose its structural integrity and you'll not be likely to be able to use it a second time around. But for an emergency circumstance, cardboard is usable. You can use plastic to make nest boxes. This is a food-grade plastic container. It once contained oil. It's an oil keg. There are different sizes of these containers that you can get and you can make a nest box out of it. However, bear in mind, because it is made out of plastic, your rabbit will eventually do this to it. So you can get these kegs for free or at very minimal cost, so it can be made very cheaply. Plastic is very easy to sanitize. However, rabbits tend to chew on plastic, so you will need to change out the plastic nest boxes periodically. When you install in nest boxes, you have to tie it to the cage in each instance. Tie the nest box to the cage. Otherwise, the doe will take it and start throwing it around. This is another type of plastic container that can be used as a nest box. This is, as you can see, it has seen better days. There's little work, you just buy it, place it in the cage. However, it is plastic. This no longer serves the purpose of a nest box. Another material that I used for nest boxes, wire. I made this from pieces of scrap wire while I was building my cage. Is 1 inch by 1/2 inch spacing. And this was built to be installed permanently into the cage. So each cage has a built-in nest box permanently installed in the cage. So when a door is ready to kindle, I just place a piece of pond liner at the bottom of this so the kids' feet don't get stuck in the spacing of the wire. And pond liner is a plastic material. Urine falls off. When I'm finished, I wash it, put it away. It's ready and available for another use. Now you can use this as you would other nest boxes. You put it in to the cage and you take it out after the kids are able to jump out. There are some people who are afraid of using wire for their kits and for kindling of kits because they believe that once the kits are born on wire that they die. However, that is not the case. I have had kits born out of the nest box on several occasions because those simply refuse to make any nest box or a door kindled sooner than I expected, and I came to find kits being born on the wire. I simply take them with my hand. You can use your hand to touch your kits, and I place all of them in the nest box along with some of her fur, and they have all survived. I've never had instances of kids dying because they were on the wire. Kids die due to exposure, being trampled on, or not being fed. So using wire as a nest box is perfectly safe. It's also very easy to clean. Periodically, kids end up out of the nest box unintentionally, simply because while nursing, the doe would be finished nursing, the kit wasn't finished and the kit remained attached to the mother's teeth. So while she jumps out of the nest box, the kit is still attached and the kit ends up out of the nest box away from the litter. So you will need to place this kit back into the nest box with the litter to ensure that it is fed during the next feeding. When placing your nest box into the cage, you need to be mindful of when you place the nest box. Place the nest box into the cage no sooner than 2 days before you expect your doe to kindle. If you place your nest box in the cage before 2 days, more than likely your doe will end up using the nest box as a toilet, and then you would have to go in and clean it out before she does kindle. So you can do it the day before, you can do it 2 days before, but no sooner, to ensure that the nest box remains clean for when she does kindle her kits. When you're placing your nest boxes in, some people tend to add materials such as dried grass, newspaper, cloth, that sort of thing into the nest box. You can do that, that's fine. I used to do that. I used to use dried grass and I did use newspaper at some point, but I found it unnecessary because my does tend to pull sufficient fur. There are some does who don't pull fur, and in this instance you would want to add some material to the nest box to help keep the kits warm. What you can also do, if you have a doe that over pulls fur, you can remove some of her fur and save it in a bag for the does that don't pull fur or don't pull sufficient fur. Other man-made material you can use will be things like wood shavings, try to avoid sawdust, or you can just leave the doe to pull her fur and not stress yourself about it. Generally, does will pull fur when she is ready to kindle. She will pull her own fur. She may pull fur before, during, or after kindling. So you would have to monitor your doe to know if and when she will pull her fur. Some does pull way too much fur. Some pull none, some pull just enough. You would have to know your doe to know exactly how she operates during kindling. Okay guys, I suggest you watch this video confined to this side of the screen where I show you how I make plastic nest boxes. There is a kit that is out of the litter box. Nest box, what's the litter box?